Hello, how are you? This is Hina from Team Vallath, and today we shall discuss the last two sections of the 1922 modernist, very important poem by T.S. Eliot. These sections are Death by Water and What the Thunder Said. First, let's begin with Death by Water. The lines this section covers are between 312 to 321, which means only 10 lines. This makes Death by Water the shortest section of the wasteland and the longest. Do you remember? We did it in the last lecture. It was a third section called the Fire Sermon, which was 234 lines long. Okay, now let's start with Death by Water. Death by Water discusses Phlebas the Phoenician in a short lyric. Phlebas basically is a person. He is related to the shipping business. He belongs to a city in the Mediterranean, a place, where the people are called Phoenicians, okay, from Phoenicia, a land in the Mediterranean. So Death by Water discusses the death of this person, Phlebas, in the form of just a 10-line lyric. Now, before this, we should remember to the warning that Madame Sosostris gave in the section, The Burial of the Dead. Remember the tarot card reader, Madame Sosostris? She said, fear death by water through her tarot card of the drowned Phoenician sailor. Now here in this section, Death by Water, this Phoenician sailor has been given a name by Eliot, and the name is Phlebas. Phlebas works in the shipping industry. How we come to know? The line 314 says profit and loss. He might be, there is a speculation, he might be Mr. Eugenides, who's the Smyrna merchant, who also we talked about in the last section, from section 3, the Fire Sermon. Now, what does the speaker say? The speaker says for Phlebas that the ocean currents are picking his bones in whispers. He's drowned, okay? So the ocean currents are picking his bones in whispers, line 316. And while Phlebas was drowning, he could see his life flash before his own eyes as he entered the whirlpool, and he regretted what he saw there. His past, his present, he's remembering about those times, the memory, and he is regretful. Note, Phlebas here, as we can see, does not return to life. We saw it in the Burial of the Dead, that whatever is dying will come back again, will resurrect. But here, nothing like that happens, okay? So the speaker now addresses the readers, that is us, as Gentile or Jew, that is no matter who you are. Phlebas, consider Phlebas, who was once as handsome and as tall as you are, but now he's dead, he's no more. So implication of this line is, if we think that we turn the wheel of our lives or fortune by looking to windward direction, we are mistaken. Phlebas's drowning confirms that death is immortal, which means death is always present for old and young alike. Okay? All right. Death by water themes: death, memory, religion, shallowness, and modern life. Okay, now since this is just a 10-line lyric, I thought I will write it and read it for you. So let's listen to the text of Death by Water. It starts from line number 312. Phlebas the Phoenician, a fortnight dead, which means he's been dead for 2 weeks now, forgot the cry of gulls and the deep sea swell, and the profit and loss, which means related to trading industry. A current undersea picked his bones in whispers as he rose and fell. He passed the stages of his age and youth, entering the whirlpool. He's entering the whirlpool. He's drowning, drowning, drowning. He's rising, falling, and he passes through the stage of his age and youth. Gentile or Jew, this is for us. Gentile or Jew, oh, you who turn the wheel and look to windward, consider Phlebas, who was once handsome and tall as you. We're done with section number 4. This takes us to the last section of today's poem, T.S. Eliot's The Wasteland. The name of the section is What the Thunder Said. It covers lines from 322 to 434. So total number of lines in Wasteland is 434. Now, this section, what the thunder said, is the most fragmented, disoriented, punctured, fractured, whatever you want to say. Eliot has written so wide and varied in this section. I think he himself might not be knowing what he's writing. See, in the draft that he wrote for The Wasteland, he's telling the story behind each section. So, for example, for this section, Death by Water, it was originally the longest section, but then Eliot just edited and made it the shortest section. Same now for What the Thunder Said. Eliot said that he wrote it very fast, very quickly, so he did not even have any time to edit. That is the story behind the scenes. Now let's come to What the Thunder Said. Desire for water is described here. Now we know that in the wasteland, little will grow. The dead is everywhere. There is no fertility. So, of course, to increase the fertility, to get the fertility, what do we want? Water. Water is required to restore life to earth or to return to fertility. Here again, allusion to the Fisher King myth. You know it, right? The Fisher King who was guarding the Holy Grail, but he was completely, he was not well. I mean, his health was feeble. He was absolutely punctured in his health, and he had to be rescued by somebody, right? Who? Well, the knights who came to rescue him, right? Now here, the Fisher King myth, his land is full of infertility. His land is barren. So Fisher King myth is alluded here. Listen to the lines. If there were water and no rock, and if there were rock and water, a spring, a pool among the rock, if there were the sound of water only, not the cicada and dry grass singing, but sound of water over a rock, where the hermit thrush sings in the pine trees, drip, drop, 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 but there is no water. After this, okay, the water section is done. Lines 359 to 65. Here the speaker inquires about, there's a speaker, an unknown and unnamed speaker. He talks about a hallucinated third person whom he imagines is walking alongside a traveling companion. Basically, I'll make it easy. A person is walking, okay? He is walking alone, but he sees somebody walking with him, okay? Now, this is allusion to one of Ernest Shackleton's Antarctic expeditions. You should know Ernest Shackleton was an Anglo-Irish Antarctic explorer, okay? He went for these beautiful 3 British expeditions to the Antarctic, right? So in reality, in Shackleton's member crew, there was one person who suffered from this delusion that there was one more man among them, okay? So this line talks about Ernest Shackleton's Antarctic expedition. It's an allusion to it. Listen to the line 360. Who is the third who walks always beside you? And here you will find Gothic element entering, bats with baby faces in the chapel. Now, what is the allusion coming? In La Morte d'Arthur by Sir Thomas Malory, Lancelot was tempted in Chapel Perilous. Remember Lancelot, the knight of the round table? Here again, allusion to the Holy Grail quest, we can see. Speaker finally says that the rain has arrived and there is a thunderclap. This thunderclap is denoted by da, but it is interpreted in different ways by the listeners. For example, some interpret the thunder sound, this da, as datta, give. Some interpret this da sound as dayadham, sympathize, and others interpret this thunder sound da as damyata, or control. Now, these 3 terms, datta, dayadham, Damyata, they are taken from the Upanishad. You know, Upanishad are sacred texts of Hindus and Buddhists. Now, Datta is followed by a question. Listen to this line number 402. What have we given? Which leads to a moment's surrender. For example, you know, a moment's surrender, which means we want to surrender ourselves. And this takes us to the last sections of What the Thunder Said. Absolutely, lot of references are coming. Please listen to me properly. How the section What the Thunder Said concludes like. It ends with different quotes from different places that Eliot gives. These quotes are, first, Nursery rhyme. London Bridge is falling down, falling down, falling down. Line number 427, which suggests London fall as the center of a vast empire and a trading power. Remember, Eliot was working in London. Okay. Second quote is from Dante's Purgatorio. I can't read it, but it means then dives him into the fire which refines him. Third reference that Eliot gives is from Pervigilium Veneris, a classical Latin poem. Fourth is from Tennyson's poem, Oh, Swallow, Swallow. Fifth is from Gerard de Nerval, who was a French writer, his sonnet, The Prince of Aquitaine in the Ruined Tower. Sixth reference is from Thomas Kyd's Elizabethan play, The Spanish Tragedy of 1587. And seventh and the final reference is the word Shanti, which is repeated 3 times. Shanti, 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 which Eliot parallels with the peace which passeth understanding. What does it mean? Has the speaker attained the peace that he is striving for? Or he is just longing for the peace which he cannot attain? What the thunder said possibly denotes that the speaker has gone completely mad, because the line 432 states, Hieronymo's mad again. Eliot says, quoting Thomas Kyd from the Spanish tragedy. See, there are multiple interpretations of this poem, okay? That's why I'm telling you, read the poem by yourself. I have given you the structure, the backbone. Do your reading, do more research. You will love the interpretation that comes out of it, right? That is the beauty of poetry, okay? That is the beauty of poetry. I know it is understood that we have to write, one interpretation of the poem for the exam, but for your life, read a poem, interpret it in your own manner, and move accordingly. That is the love and the life of literature. Yes, this is Hina from Team Vallath. Keep loving English, just like me. Take care of yourself. Have a lovely evening. Bye-bye.